Thank you very much. My name is Mayor Elizabeth Patterson, and I'm a former planning director and a retired employee of the state of California as a staff environmental scientist, and I've been on the council since 2003. I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce for hosting this candidates forum, and I want to thank the audience and for those who are watching for your interest in this important election. Elections for leaders are best when they focus on issues of leadership for vision, courage, and heart. I want Benicia to thrive. As mayor, I lead with an understanding of the balance between individual interests and the interests of all the city's residents. To prosper, we must change to changing demographics of an aging city and a changing economy from fossil fuels to clean tech. To be effective and efficient, we must seek expansion of the Benicia Industrial Park for more valuable business economic activity. I have a strong record of voting for city residents over special interests. I voted for e-cigarette regulations to keep nicotine, a poison, from youth. It passed on a 3-2 vote, with my opponent voting against those regulations. It's hard work to be informed and responsible leader, and sometimes you have to make unpopular decisions. I have fought hard to inform the public about local air pollution, unsafe crude by rail, and threats to safe and reliable water. Over the years, I have voted on city boards and commission recommendations for grants. I advocated for increased grants to restore funding cut during the Great Recession for our arts and theater, as well as to increase funding to human services and historic properties. I agreed with the Community Sustainability Commission's 2015 recommendations to the Council. The Commission has stewardship responsibility for the Good Neighbor Steering Committee settlement funds. They were judiciously managing those funds for maximum performance for the community. I supported the Commission's grant recommendations for community projects for water and energy conservation. I voted no when the majority of the Council voted to ignore the Community Sustainability Commission's recommendations and award Valero $889,000 to do what they should have done anyway as good business practice. The Council vote depleted the funds for future community grants. I could take credit for the Open Government Ordinance, the Sunshine Ordinance, Open Space Initiative Preventing Sprawl, the Community Center, or other things that I've succeeded in. But I'd rather tell you about how we did it, and we did it by working together with the grassroots and by my working hard every day for the city I love. Thank you.
As a member of the City Council, what will be your long-term and short-term goals?
Well, as mayor, I have been continually pressing on getting the construction of the fiber optics to provide affordable high-speed internet to the Benicia Industrial Park so that we can attract businesses for that transition that we need to make from being dependent on fossil fuels into new new businesses. And we need to fix the roads. We have a serious problem because of the feds leaving stage right and the state kind of making a bad decision in terms of how they provided for the gasoline tax, associating it with the cost of gasoline, not the gallons used. And because of that, we are now shortchanged by almost $500,000. I think it's going to be fixed by the legislature, but it hasn't been fixed yet. For the long term, frankly, the long term is really reliable water supply. I think a lot of people don't quite understand how tenuous our relationship is with the contracted water from the State Water Project. We are 85% dependent on a state water project that zeroed us out 2 years ago. We need to have a more diverse portfolio for water supply. We need to work on that, and we gave some direction when we just adopted the Urban Water Management Plan.
Second question, I'll start with Ms. Patterson. Benicia is often referred to as a full-service city. Based on the city's financial challenges, how would you sustain this model, or what changes would you explore?
Thank you. So some of the changes that we need to explore is how to take a couple of departments that we have that do the same job. Our Parks and Recreation and our Public Works actually do landscape work, but they have different areas that they do it in. We had a scan of our organization. That's something I've been working on trying to get since 2004, and it shows that if we combine those, we would be more effective and efficient in doing our landscaping. That is cost savings, meaning that we could cover more ground more efficiently. One of the other aspects in terms of the city services that we have, I regret that a lot of what we do now seems to be the user pays. So I think that we ought to take advantage of some of the programs that are available in terms of a broader shall we say, net that goes over the city, that everybody can contribute a smaller amount of money, but everybody benefits in some way. And those are called Enhanced Infrastructure Finance Districts. It's a new program. We've been beginning to investigate that. What we really need to do is pursue that with a great deal of energy. Those are some of the ideas that we have. And then, of course, we want to bring new revenues in, and that's the whole idea of the economic development program that will allow us to increase the revenue necessary to support those city services, which is why the CINO site is such an important topic and creates such concern for many of us that it could actually be spent on residential rather than industrial development.
What is your position on the crude by rail project? Please give specific reasons for either supporting or opposing the project.
So clearly, Valero is one of the safest refineries in the state of California, if not the United States. And this isn't an issue about Valero's safety. This is an issue about how the Union Pacific runs its railroad. And it is not the safest railroad. It's been well documented that it is not. These train cars will be coming across our water supply, and they have already had accidents, if you might recall Dunsmuir. I am concerned about what could happen to our water supply. I agree with the regional air district that there isn't adequate air pollution discussion and findings and mitigations in the document that is the final EIR. I agree with California Transportation Department that says there isn't an adequate assessment and analysis of the traffic that would be created because of the trains parked at Park and Industrial. I also believe that because of the safety issues, I testified at the State Senate on the concern that I have on behalf of the city of Benicia for those safety issues, and I believe that legislation actually reflected that concern. The legislation offered by Mike Thompson in the U.S. Congress, I don't know if you've noticed, but the U.S. Congress doesn't do very much, and so I don't take any comfort in what that legislation, the future for that legislation. So it's very clear, I cannot support a document whose environmental documentation is inadequate, as well as the grievous threats that it has to our air pollution and to our safety.
Do you support or oppose the proposed Northern Gateway project on CINO property, which calls for construction of 900 homes? Do you have any concerns about supplying water to these homes?
So 900 units takes 450 acre-feet of water, which cost about, let's say, $200 an acre-foot, which is what we paid for in 2014, and that's $90,000. The city needs to have development that brings added revenues to the city, not to be a drain on our limited revenues that have been identified. Our economic development is based on getting value added to development. The way to do that is through the industrial development, the business park development, and the commercial development that should be mixed within all of those. The general plan says that. The Benicia Industrial Park Association has said it should be reserved for the expansion of the business park. And we have also had testimony from, or we've had submitted testimony from economists who say, for the city, not to dig the hole deeper in terms of our revenue issues, we need to add value to the land development. Residential doesn't pay its way because it has a fixed property tax aspect to it, where our costs continue to go up over years. After about 10 years, we are not getting the development to pay its own way. That's not smart development, and that's what we need to do.
Benicia is a quaint, historic tourist spot, yet our historic sites need great attention and maintenance. In addition, Benicia's public spaces need maintenance and care. What will you promote and do to address this dichotomy?
As mayor, I advocated for taking a look at the benefits that we have in using the Mills Act, which provides the tax break to homeowners in the historic district who are maintaining their homes and fixing them up. I want to see that program grow in a manner that we can manage. Also, I formed as mayor the Solano County State Parks Committee, which brought together the county and the city of Vallejo and Benicia to work together on looking at how we can get the state recreation area saved from closure as well as improved, and that's going very well. And we also did that with a Fisher Handlin House, and we are now on the road to getting some of the improvements necessary. One of the things that has helped in this process is that we do have historical society interests. But my frustration is that we have the Benicia Historical Society, we have the Benicia Historical Museum, and we have the Benicia State Park Association, and I would surely love to have them work together and form a partnership so that we can actually address some of these issues that need to be addressed. In terms of the park maintenance, they are woefully neglected, and it is part of the issue that I referred to earlier, and it's the way we divide our departments and assign them to the tasks that they have. Measure C does three things. It helps our parks, public safety, and potholes, and we are sticking to that, and we're not quitting until we get this done with the Measure C funds.
What would you do to encourage affordable infill housing? Ms. Patterson?
Thank you. So as a former planning director dealing with these issues on a daily basis, I can tell you that it's really very hard, but there are some solutions. To keep myself abreast of the latest trends and the tools that are available, I go to a number of conferences, and what people are saying today, the planners are saying that the two biggest barriers to our getting infill development are the requirements for parking, because I'll just leave it at that because it's a long, detailed discussion. But in addition to the requirements for parking, it's the local neighborhood that often feels that they're going to be, their lives are not going to be of the same quality. They're afraid of the density, they're afraid of the change in the character. In fact, there isn't that much to fear if the planning is done correctly, but it has to include the neighborhood from the beginning, not given to them to react to. And I've been a big advocate for making sure that we do have that stakeholder outreach program, and somewhat frustrated on the council and not being able to have more of those outreach programs so that we can get some of these projects that might not be as easy to understand, where we do have the public going back and forth with our planners and going back and forth with the planning commission to get a better project. These are things that are done in other communities very successfully, and so I would look forward to being able to implement these kinds of efforts so that we can get our infill housing.
We're now at the part of the program where everybody will have 3 minutes for closing remarks.
Thank you. I want to do something I've always wanted to do. My daughter happens to be watching. I want to say, hi, Nina. Benicia is consistently voted as one of the best places to raise children with great schools, safe community, and as a small town place. This is made possible by visionary and forward-thinking leadership, knowing the community's values, staying focused on our goals, and being bold and caring. For instance, we just received the Institute of Local Government and the League of California Cities Beacon Platinum Award for the city's greenhouse gas reductions. To quote, "Winning is quite an accomplishment. Only 8 California cities participating in the program will be awarded. I fought to keep the Climate Action Plan coordinator, whose work resulted in this award, and real money for the city, such as $113,000 from Marin Clean Energy earned with the city's solar panels, not to mention electricity savings for residents and businesses, thus keeping the money in Benicia and not going to utilities. The council majority voted no on extending the contract. I won't quit. As mayor, I will keep working and moving forward together. I have a vision for Benicia for growing new jobs for the millennials in clean tech and rebuilding our Benicia Industrial Park for real jobs for engineers, programmers, and manufacturing, not warehouses. I have a vision for Benicia to seize the future, to keep our small town and not suburban sprawl, to protect our environment, to have a safe community, and to grow sustainably so our children have and inherit a livable world. As mayor, I will continue to seek to make our air cleaner for us and our children, to make sure we have safe, reliable water supplies, to make sure we make land use decisions for all of us, just not a few. The greatest job growth in California, over 1/3 jobs, are clean tech. We need to double our efforts to diversify our economic activity, to transition from too much dependence on the refinery and gas stations, and grow new economy businesses. We need to protect our existing business diversity in Benicia and upgrade the business and industrial park with affordable high-speed internet, repurposing warehouse buildings for more revenue-generating businesses. We need to invest in streets, drainages, and landscaping where appropriate, and modernize this economic engine, the industrial park, that provides the revenue for city services, parks, police, arts, human services, and a livable, walkable, historic town. As mayor, I have the vision, the courage, and the heart for protecting the health, safety, and welfare of our families and children. This is experience you can trust. I ask for your vote for my re-election as mayor.